So Professor Ashokkumar, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for our podcast series. So Professor Ashokkumar has responsibility for the international strategy and relationships with India at the University of Melbourne as the Assistant Deputy Vice-Chancellor International responsible for India issues. Prior to this position, Ashok was the Associate Dean International at the Faculty of Science up until 2017, and it was during that appointment that Ashok established the Melbourne India Postgraduate Program, which I believe is still reaping dividends today for Australia-India relations, and has also led to the establishment of the Melbourne India Postgraduate Academy. So thank you for joining us, Ashok. It's a pleasure to have you here. And one thing that has struck us at the Australia-India Institute in Delhi is that the draft new education policy, the new 21st century vision that India is looking to, is really pitching for India to engage more with international collaboration, and in particular is keen to partner with the world's Global 200. So in that context, tell us a bit more about the University of Melbourne and where that fits on its ranking and standards.
Sure. First of all, thank you, and also thank the Institute for giving this opportunity. In terms of the national education policy and how our engagement activities within India is in line with the policy, if you look at that, basically the national education policy tries to improve the quality of education right from primary education to research higher degrees, for example. And the goals there are access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. So it's a really good ones. And if you look into some of the key things that we do in India, they are aligned with these particular goals. For example, if you take the Melbourne India Postgraduate Program or Postgraduate Academy, we just have mentioned, and that program kind of looks at high quality research. But it's not just Australians helping India, but Indians helping Australia, Indian institutions helping Australian institutions. So one of the things that through this program, what we get is high quality research students. And they may not be in an environment where they have really high quality research facilities, which is what the Australian institution can offer. There's mutual benefit there in terms of the quality. If you take the blended BSc program, the blended BSc or blended teaching program that we have developed basically looks at providing high quality education for those who are not able to afford to go overseas to get high quality degrees, for example. So in this case, the curriculum is developed by the University of Melbourne in consultation or in collaboration with the University of Pune and also ISER, Indian Institute of Science Education Research, both in Pune and Tirupati. And what that offers is the quality is controlled by us. The students get almost like similar education to what we offer in the University of Melbourne, but the fee that pay is Indian fee. So basically the affordability is not an issue, equity is there, quality is there. So that's one of the key programs that we think is highly aligned with the NEP.
So, I mean, I think that's a really wonderful observation about how the draft new education policy objectives tie in quite neatly with University of Melbourne's own values. And I think words like equity and access are also in the University of Melbourne's India strategy, in fact, so there's a lot of parallels and synergy there. Yeah. And we're hoping to see the implementation of that draft policy this year, because it's certainly being met with a lot of interest in circles both within India and outside. So I think you've touched on some of the major collaborations that you're spearheading, but just to the University of Melbourne's actual global ranking, where would you say Melbourne fits?
Okay, as you know, the University of Melbourne, if you look into any sort of ranking, whether it's QS or the Times Higher Education, within Australia, it is ranked number 1, globally number 32. So in terms of ranking for the past 5-10 years, Melbourne University is doing well both nationally and internationally. But to be there on a constant basis or consistent basis, one of the key issues is University of Melbourne has to be recognized by academic institutions globally, but also not only the academic institution, but also the community. There are different factors involved in calculating the rankings. So our engagement in India, partnership with Indian institutions, is very critical for us to even maintain that ranking. Because I said, you go to an academic institution in India and then talk to them about any university. If they say that I don't know about this university, that means it's a negative point for your profile.
Right.
So having this kind of engagement for us in a big country like India, with a number of academic institutions, providing quality education, but also mutually learning from them, is an important issue.
That makes very good sense, and I think the collaborations you also highlighted sound like it would then be of mutual benefit to both the University of Melbourne, but also Indian institutions here.
Exactly.
Moving forward, are there other collaboration opportunities on your radar, or things you would like to do that we're not yet doing?
At this stage, we are trying to engage at different levels. One is the research higher degree, where we have the joint PhD programs well established. At this stage, we don't want to grow too big, mainly because we want to control the growth. The other one is the blended program. We are trying to expand that because that's something scalable without much effort that we are already doing. The third thing that we are trying to do is to engage with high schools or schools in general.
Nice.
We have started a one-year project in collaboration with Global Education Solutions, where we try to reach out to public schools, mainly girls' schools, and we are trying to offer some online modules for the students to learn about themselves, where they are, who they are, and where their future is, those kind of things. That's another program we will try to expand. But other than this, we generally have academic staff in Melbourne have a number of research collaborations, a number of different areas with many institutions. That will be an organic growth. We don't want to kind of interfere with that. That will ultimately happen. But from the university point of view, these are the three programs that we'll try to engage. Research higher degree at the bachelor level, we'll try to expand that into arts and humanities soon, and then the high school level. But other than this, for example, the medical faculty is engaging with the CMC Vellore, Christian Medical College in Vellore, and they're trying to offer a health leadership program.
Right.
And with CHAI, as you may know, we are working, again, medical faculty is working with Melbourne Disability Institute is working with some institutions here, mainly in the disability space. And I think I spoke to you earlier about the water. We would like to be involved in the Ganges cleanup project. We are also talking to Reliance in terms of the green fuels. So not only that we want to purely engage with academic institutions, but also with industries. That's another area we want the Melbourne University want to kind of focus in 2020 and beyond. Because industry engagement is another important thing. Also for our students to be exposed to career opportunities through this industry engagement is critical.
Well, I think that's been a really exciting overview. I was going to ask you about your views of the Australia-India bilateral relationship in terms of cooperation, but I think that final answer about both what we're doing in the education space for bachelor's and higher degree learning as well, what we're doing in the health sector, including also looking at social justice issues like disability, and then what we're doing in water as well for collaboration, both for environmental impact, but understanding water also as an energy resource, as well as water security as an important feature of interest to both countries. You've more than covered it. Thank you so much for your time, Ashok.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.